What's up, guys? How's it going? Oh my gosh, we got another movie review. Yes, so I'm so excited to be back, guys. So just got back from seeing Spider-Man: Far From Home. So Spider-Man is obviously the sequel and continuation of Spider-Man: Homecoming, and also following the events of Avengers: Endgame. So I really was curious to see what this movie was about because I want to see Spidey after Avengers. Spoiler alert. Tony Stark's no longer in our universe. So sad. This movie made me sad for Tony. I mean, it's a Spider-Man movie, but the whole time I couldn't help but think of Iron Man and how much I miss him and really want him. And I feel like Marvel is going to have a really hard time trying to find someone to replace and fill his shoes. Obviously they won't, but someone that's going to, take up that mantle. So I'm really curious to see what they're going to be doing with the continuation of what's going to be the next Iron Man. In this movie, it's like Spider-Man's gonna be the next Iron Man. I don't know about that, guys. Like, I was watching the movie, I love Spider-Man, grew up with Spider-Man, he's one of my favorite heroes, but he's not Iron Man, There's just something about it where it just doesn't mesh well. Anyway, let's talk about Spider-Man: Far From Home. So Spider-Man: Far From Home, I liked it, guys. I actually liked it a little more than I thought I was gonna like it, which is good. Yes, it's got some flaws. Yes, it's got some hiccups and all that. But overall, as this kind of a movie, especially coming right after Endgame, this is really hard to do. Much more smaller universe as far as villains and the world at stake, but it does take place in Europe. First stop is a school trip with Spider-Man Peter Parker's class, played by the wonderful Tom Holland. So great. He is, as of now, my favorite Spider-Man. Just so charming and endearing and just full of life and youthfulness, as well as this Spider-Man should be. So the class goes on a trip to Italy and I believe Berlin and Prague, and then they end up in London. So it was nice to see Spider-Man in a different country doing his adventures. And so anyways, Peter Parker is basically on the trip. He's excited because he wants to express his feelings to MJ, played by the lovely Zendaya, who was actually really good. I enjoyed her too. I got to see more of her character than we did in the first movie, which was Homecoming with her. This one, they have more of a story together, and they actually like each other. So it was cool to just see how that would unfold. The villain is played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and he is Mysterio. Now, Mysterio is a pretty rad bad guy when you think about it. I grew up watching the Spider-Man cartoons, reading the comics. Mysterio, we finally have him. Like, out of all the Spider-Man movies we've had so far, we get him. So I wanted to see how they did with him. I would say Jake did a great job, for what he was given. I do feel like, again, Marvel falls under the villain is their Achilles heel. I liked him actually, spoiler alert, guys, okay, I actually liked Mysterio as a good guy. He actually portrays himself as a good guy before he has this twist of him actually being a bad guy, but in the sense of he wants to still look like an Avenger and be good, even though he's using these holographic machines built by Tony Stark to make a facade of what's going on. Like you see in the trailers and everything, you see these monsters, it's like a water monster, there's a earth monster, and there's a fire monster, and it's all fake. It's actually just him portraying holographic images, and he wants the world to accept him, and he wants to be a hero because turns out he actually used to work for Tony Stark, and I guess he got fired because one of his pieces of technology Tony wasn't really wanting or thrilled about. So it's kind of like him wanting to, I guess, better himself and become more than who he is, and he wants to have that Avenger status, but obviously in the wrong way. So that part was okay. I just didn't like the whole twist and turn, even though I knew it was coming. I knew he was going to be bad because he is a bad guy, but I actually kind of found it cool when we see him as a good guy because you never see that. And we're introduced to the multiverse. Now, the thing I was confused about that was the multiverse, when they first talk about while Mysterio is talking to Spider-Man and, Nick Fury, he is making it sound like there's this multiverse. But I don't know if that's still true, if that was something also he was making up to make himself look like he's from this other Earth and he's got all this real power when actually everything he's doing is fake. So I'm still, interested to see if Marvel's going to introduce the multiverse anytime soon, if it really was real or if he's just really this random guy. I think he is just this random guy because, like I said, he worked for Tony Stark in the past. Anyway, so going off that random tangent, yeah, so it was fun. I mean, the writing, the acting, the action, it was all good. They did a little payoff to the original Iron Man with doing an AC/DC score. That was awesome. I love that scene with Spider-Man and Happy. They're actually coming together now. They really like care for each other because every time you see Happy and Spider-Man, Happy's always got the attitude like, oh, I don't care about you, whatever, you're a kid. Now I feel like they have a respect for one another and they're coming together of, Iron Man's absence. So yes, Spider-Man Far From Home. It was good to see Nick Fury, obviously, and you definitely want to wait till the end of the movie because there are, I believe, 2 post-credit scenes. And the very end, I feel like it's very interesting because it's like, where in the world is Nick Fury? What happened to him? Because he's in this very interesting place. It's definitely a Captain Marvel. Characters are involved with that. So yeah, I liked it, guys. I really did. I had fun with it. I had more fun than I thought I would. And I really do like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I think he really makes up for, the negative stuff of the movie that I just wasn't a huge fan of. Everything seemed a little rushed though at times. I felt like there were things that were going to one place to the next to just make up these setups, and I didn't feel like there was time for characters to develop as much more as I wanted to. I wanted that more marinated feel. But it still was fine, it still was good. I felt like the Mysterio scenes where he's, tricking Spider-Man and pulling all these different, scenarios and putting him into these other kind of worlds with the holographs. That was a really cool scene. That was really neat. Like, I'm watching going, oh wow, that's really creative, and I like how they're showing it and how it looks. So that was really cool part 2. And yeah, so I'm gonna give Spider-Man Far From Home, I'm gonna give this movie too, probably like a 7.2 out of 10. It was probably not as good and not as heartfelt as Spider-Man Homecoming, but for a sequel and for a sequel after Avengers Endgame, it did pretty darn good, despite all its factors. So yeah, guys, go check it out. Go represent and honor Spider-Man by buying a ticket and seeing this movie. And yeah, try to see an IMAX because IMAX is awesome. I try to do as much as I can with IMAX. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next movie talk. And much love again. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.
I gotta get you guys out of here. Get on the jet.
Who are you?
I work with Spider-Man.
You work for Spider-Man?
I work with Spider-Man, not for Spider-Man. New plan.